Yo, what's up? My name is RetroPat, and I've been playing video games since I was around 3 years old and have been on Steam since 2011. And if you grew up playing video games in the same era as me, you might remember this post from Valve when they launched free-to-play games for the very first time on Steam. When you're 13 to 15 years old, free-to-play games might be your only possible way to play any sort of video games at all. So when amazing MMOs like Spiral Knights, Forsaken Worlds, and Champions Online all became free-to-play, my little teenage brain basically exploded. I can't express how big of a deal this was for the time. But now, whether you're an old school gamer or a modern gamer, we have a whole new problem at our fingertips. We have way too many free-to-play games at our disposal. How do we play them all? How do we know which ones are good? How do we know which ones are a waste of time? As gamers age, I think it's something we all realize, the more valuable resource becomes our time rather than our wallets. And that's where I come in. The goal of this series is to sort through as many free-to-play games as possible, going through all the best ones and even some of the worst ones, and let you guys know whether they are worth your time. I'll be playing as many games as possible for at least 1 to 2 hours and giving my first impressions on the game, not a full review. This series is meant to give tons of different gamers of all varieties fresh options and games to go to for very little cost. And if you find this video helpful and it introduces you to a fun, new, exciting game to check out, make sure to like the video and subscribe to keep up to date with more videos covering other similar games. As well as, if you have a free-to-play game you want me to check out, let me know in the comments. I can't promise to get to all of them, but I would like to get to as many as possible. But today, I will be taking on one of the biggest Goliaths, possibly the biggest Goliath in free-to-play gaming on Steam. I will be asking the question, is Team Fortress 2 worth it? Is it worth your time in the year 2025? Please excuse the quality of this video because this is just the best quality they had back when this first trailer released for Team Fortress 2, all the way back in around 2006 with the official game releasing in 2007. Now, Team Fortress 2 is actually one of my most played games on Steam with 635 hours. Hell, I even bought the game for $10 back before it was free to play. If you don't know about Team Fortress 2 at this point, you might have been living under a rock for the last 20 years. And it's going to be tough to give it justice and catch you guys up, but I'm going to try my best. And just because a game is a classic and has done a lot for the gaming scene doesn't mean it's good and active and fun to play in 2025. Loading up TF2 in 2025 has me getting flamed and called a casual by the main menu. There's a lot going on in this home screen, so let's go ahead and break down a bit of it. First, let's start with our items page. We have our items page where you can actually go and check out all of your different characters' loadouts. Like we have the scout, the soldier, the pyro, the demo man, the heavy, the engineer, the medic, the sniper, and the spy. This is the game that revolutionized class-based shooters. The scout is fast and shifty. He's faster than every other unit by far, doing pretty decent damage, but not having the most powerful weapons. The soldier has some of the biggest boom and most damage with its giant rocket launcher, but generally lacks in mobility until you learn rocket jumping, which I never did. Pyro is a troll class for noob squashing when you're in close range. Demo Man lobs grenades, somewhat similar to soldier, but at different angles and allows you to hold certain corners. Heavy is a hold your ground, stand still, and have a medic on him and just try to do as much damage and shoot things as much as possible. It can be difficult to siege with him, but he's kind of a good medium ground option between a lot of the other classes. He has the highest HP pull in the game, and he does have his own sustain with a sandwich item. Engineer is weak in itself, and he heavily relies on his sentry turret to be set up and doing most of his damage for him. But if you have the preparation time and you can get established, the engineer is incredibly powerful. But if your opponents do not let you get established, you're going to get squashed. The medic is for absolute gigachads who want to help their team and achieve victory. And yes, you do mostly just sit there and spam heals and occasionally get your uber charge. However, you can also equip the crossbow and do some really cool shenanigans. For those who don't know, the crossbow is a weapon that shoots a projectile that can both damage opponents when hit with it, as well as healing your teammates. It's probably one of the most high skill based items in the game from my understanding. I want to take this time to qualify now that even though I have about 650 hours in this game, I am an absolute hardcore casual. I've never been good at this game, I've never been competitive, and I don't know the most about it, but damn do I have fun. You have the sniper class, who is obviously the sniper. Long range, he can pack a nice sniper rifle, or the bow. I'm a big fan of the bow setup. And then the spy, the most infamous class possibly in the entire game. A good spy can take over an entire game. The problem is most people aren't good spies. He might be one of the most high skill ceiling characters in the entire game, with the ability to one-shot characters if you stab them correctly in the back with the knife. However, it's difficult to position yourself to do so properly without getting blown up by all the powerful close-range attackers. But what do you say we play a few games before jumping into more inventory discussion? When going to find a game on TF2, you can either do a couple different options. You can go for it casual and just queue up into whatever, or go for community servers. I was always a big fan of community servers when I played. Specifically, I used to play on a bunch of 2-Fort Capture the Flag 24/7 servers. That's a lot of words, but 2-Fort is just a really cool map, and Capture the Flag is obviously a game mode where you capture the other opponent's flag. And it's awesome to see that there are still community servers for 2-Fort 24/7 that are just fighting over slots. There's so many people, they want to get in these full servers. I'm going to try to jump into one of the more popular ones. Now, I don't know about you guys, but growing up, this was always one of the longest load screens. I would sit here for 20 minutes trying to get into a server for TF2. The laptop and my internet that I grew up with were absolutely terrible, and I'm curious how many of you had similar experiences. Now, I will say, even by modern day standards, the load time is a little long, probably about 1 to 2 minutes if I had to guess, but it's not too shabby. Let's go ahead and jump into a game where you pick your class. I'm going to go ahead and start Scout and just look at the old graphics and my old graphic settings and see if we can jump into things without getting absolutely eviscerated. Now, something you might notice as you play Team Fortress 2 is you'll occasionally get these little free weapon drops. You can eventually craft these, turn them down to scrap, or sell them on other trade servers for scrap. Or die like a dumbass. I will say I don't have the best gaming computer by any means, nor do I have the worst, and it is really hard to get this game to run smoothly. I might need to tweak my graphic settings or even go into suggested settings on my NVIDIA GeForce control panel, because look at that, frame drops. I play a ton of other more modern games with no problem, so I'm definitely guessing it is a settings issue on my end from when I was much younger and had a much different setup. But that's also part of the beauty of Team Fortress 2 and why I always loved it. No matter how much I was lagging and how bad I was playing, how many times I died, how many times I was dominated, I was still always having fun. You kind of just instantly respawn and just jump back into the chaotic action over and over and over again. As you can see, there's constantly noises, weapon spray, and just craziness happening at all times. Especially when you're playing for the first time in years, you might end up dying a ton. But over time, you just have to hope that you start sucking less and less. With 500 hours of practice, you might look as dog shit as this. Now, I will say a lot about TF2 is finding the proper class for you and even the proper weapon. I myself fell in love with the flying guillotine. It's always been my favorite weapon in TF2 by far. Now, I used to run the Sandman Guillotine combo way back in the day as a shit player, but now I run the Strange Rap Assassin in the Guillotine once that got nerfed at some point, and it's just such a fun strategy of shooting projectiles with the Scout that I've always loved, even if it's terrible. Now, there are a lot of games that people load up in the modern era to turn your brain off and have some dumb shooter fun. Games like whatever the most modern Call of Duty is, games like Fortnite, games like Apex Legends, and I firmly believe that games like TF2 should be in your rotation because god damn, this game is a blast. Even if you suck, even if you're losing, which is pretty rare in modern video games. You'll never have a rage moment the way you might in League of Legends as you will in TF2. Now, I can only imagine how overwhelming this game would be to play in the modern era and how different and confusing it must be. However, I think it's definitely worth your time to try to learn it and try to catch the ropes of it and try to eventually hit a big play or a snipe or something that you'll always remember. Or stay dog shit and die to a Scout. Okay? Maybe one day you'll get revenge on that one sniper who's been bothering you the entire game. Almost. Maybe one day. I didn't say today was that day. I feel like TF2 has always been about the community and the social moments, not as much as the general gameplay. For example, Zenithia in this game has been absolutely dominating me the entire game, but all it takes is one good arrow, one good lineup, one situation where they don't see me first to finally get that revenge, and damn, it feels so good, even though they've killed me 30 times and I've killed them 1. It's genuinely difficult to make losing in a game feel good. Usually that comes down to just fun, natural mechanics that end up working regardless of the outcome, which you don't see a whole lot of in video game design. People try, but it's just something that's really, really difficult to achieve, and somehow, some way, TF2 nailed it over a decade ago, over 2 decades ago at this point. You can still run into tons of people playing friendly and just being goofy and passing their day or after work evening in Team Fortress 2. The game almost feels like a time capsule, but it still works. To be totally honest, I'm starting to think this video was just a way for me to have an excuse to play some TF2. Now, every game has positives and negatives, and Team Fortress 2 is no different. Sometimes you will run into certain players who are a bit mentally stuck in the past and might use certain quote-unquote gamer words. But that, alongside the stability issues, might be the 2 main downsides. And in my opinion, TF2 is unbelievably worth it in the year 2025. Even if you're terrible at the game like I am, I still just have a ton of fun. So whether you've played it before or have never touched it before, get a group of friends, log onto the same server, and go play some Team Fortress 2 tonight. I promise you, you won't regret it. Team Fortress 2 gets a 10 out of 10 for me as a free-to-play experience. And that's without ever exploring any of the market side of things, the crafting and the trading. But thank you guys so much for watching till the very end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspired you to play some Team Fortress 2 tonight. I'm really excited for the series, and I hope it's helpful to a lot of people and gives people a fun, fresh flavor every single evening. This channel in series is definitely just a passion project for me, and this is a side channel of mine. I hope that shines through. I'll be honest with you guys and let you know, I'm not trying to make the highest quality videos on YouTube. I'm honestly just here to have a fun time and suggest some games. So if that sounds like something up your alley, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. But if not, this video was a little too slow, under-edited, not your style, I super understand. Your time is precious, and I want you to watch videos that you actually enjoy. But regardless of what camp you're in, regardless of whether you enjoy TF2 or not, I hope you play a game that you enjoy tonight. And with that, I'll leave you guys with a piece of Reno. And a quick final shout out to just how amazing the TF2 community is and was. I've always met so many amazing people playing this game, and you should definitely check out some of the smaller streamers on Twitch who are just playing a game that they love and have been doing that for many, many years. Okay, now piece of Reno. Hey, what's up? Retro Pat here, and I want to say a quick big thank you to everybody whose name is listed here because it means you went above and beyond and supported me via the Patreon, which allows me to put more time, effort, and resources into this channel. Thank you so much, and have a great day.